Good evening. My name is Julie, and tonight I'd like to share a story about transformation. When we grow from children to adults, our world changes. We see things we've never seen before and have experiences we've never imagined. We might even think of ourselves a bit differently. This is the story of Azul, a blue morpho butterfly born on the rainforest floor. She has but one wish: to see the sky. To do so, she will have to fly up through thick and tangled layers of trees and jungle, higher up than she's ever been. She will have to work hard and take chances. So lie back and get comfortable as you hear her story. Snuggle up in your bed and take a few deep breaths. And we'll begin tonight's sleep story, Azul's Sleepy Rainforest. The rainforest floor is a dark and magical place. Sunlight rarely slips through the deep tangle of lush leaves and vines that spill from tall trees and creep over rich, wet earth. Tree roots push themselves up from under cool soil, blanketed with soft moss in shades of green and brown. Ferns spread their leaves into giant, delicate fans. Spongy mushrooms silently stretch tender mycelium from deep underground. The air is cool and wet. Silver-scaled fish swim beneath giant water lilies that float on pools of shimmering water. Leaves, some smaller than a flea and others larger than an elephant's ears, tumble from every crack and crevasse. And from beneath one of these leaves, Azul emerged. Azul had just woken from a 2-week-long slumber. It was a very long time to sleep, but as she slept, something special and wonderful happened to her body. Like a cozy sleeping bag, a shell called a chrysalid had grown from her own smooth caterpillar skin. Beneath that shell, Azul had grown wings. Hanging upside down beneath her leaf, Azul opened her sleepy eyes and admired her new wings. 7 perfect brown and gold circles adorned each one, and Azul thought they looked like the eyes of a rare and mysterious bird. She extended each of her 2 delicate antennae, smelling sweet flowers and ripe bananas and musky wood. All around her, the rainforest hummed with insects. Clever, elegant dragonflies hovered over puddles of unmoving water, and colorful beetles danced with shining wings. A ruby-throated hummingbird stopped for a sip of perfumed nectar. It had been a long and restful sleep, and now Azul was ready for an adventure. She had been waiting for this moment for a long time, Since the day she had hatched from a tiny green egg as a caterpillar, Azul had heard stories of a magical place called the sky. Stories of its beauty had been told for generations, but no one she knew had ever seen it, for it was too far away for a little caterpillar to reach. It was also impossible to see from the ground because of the layers upon layers of twisted trees and enormous leaves between the forest floor and the treetops. According to legend, this place called the sky held a beautiful orb of light surrounded by other mysterious shining objects. Azul had a wish. She wished to see the magnificent circle of golden light she'd only heard of, a light that lived in a place far, far away. This was her dream, to see the sky and its astonishing ball of light. To see the sky, Azul needed to fly to a place above the canopy. She knew the rainforest was a tall and boundless place, and it would take time and hard work to reach the tops of its trees. She would need to use all of her determination to reach it. So, unfurling her new, sticky wings, Azul cautiously crept to the leaf's edge. She had never flown before, and she was a bit nervous. She took one deep breath, then another deep breath, and hummed a little tune to keep herself from feeling scared. The glorious smell of passion fruit and orchids emboldened her to make the leap from the safety of her leaf, and a moment later, she was using her perfect wings to sail through the wet air. Azul laughed with joy. She was flying. Remarkably, she found that it came quite naturally to her. She was overjoyed to realize the beauty of her graceful wings. When she opened them, she saw that opposite their lovely brown sides, an iridescent peacock blue shimmered and flashed in the filtered light. She was so beautiful. She dipped and floated among the vibrant flowers and dense vegetation. From her new vantage point, soaring above the ground rather than crawling on it, she saw damp green moss blanketing the dark soil. Red spotted beetles paraded along yellow vines, and a wonderful toucan opened a beak so large and colorful it looked like a birthday party hat. All through the day, Azul had to store up energy for the upcoming journey. She drank nectar from the flowers that swelled between stumps of trees and leafy bushes. Often she had to stay perfectly still against the mottled trunk of a tree and close her wings, hiding their blue color to camouflage herself from the eyes of curious birds. When her wings began to feel heavy and the flight seemed too difficult for her to accomplish, Azul reminded herself of her dream: to fly to the top of the forest to see the night sky, to see its secret, splendid sphere of light. As afternoon gradually faded into evening, Azul said goodbye to the forest floor. It was her first home, and it was where she'd been born twice. Once as a caterpillar creeping along the moist earth, and then as a butterfly able to dance in the air. She took one last, brave breath and began flying up, higher than she'd ever been before. It was hard work, and Azul quickly grew tired. She had to stop frequently to rest, but as she made her way from tree to tree, there was much to see. The higher she went, the more the environment around her changed. Gone were the marching leaf-cutter ants, making their way along intertwining roots. Absent were the footprints of anteaters and warthogs. A bright red ginger flower caught her eye, and she landed neatly on one of its soft, graceful petals. It was a good place to rest. Even in the dark of the forest understory, Azul could see that the shadows were growing longer. She felt movement on the very plant she rested upon, and was amazed to see that she was sharing this quiet place with another creature. There against the deep green base of the ginger plant, a tree frog tucked its stretchy legs beneath its belly. The frog's round eyes were sleepy, and its bright yellow skin stretched over its tiny body. It clung to a leaf with sticky toes on each of its webbed feet. This frog might spend its whole life in just this one tree, thought Azul. But I am off to see new things. And this thought encouraged her to summon her strength and resume her upward flight. From this height, the view was breathtaking. Deep green vines gushed with smooth leaves, prickly leaves, grooved leaves, feathery leaves. The air was warm. Tiny droplets of water hung from the tips of branches that knew only shade. Zebra plants showed off their beautiful white stripes, and mosses blanketed the trunks of palms. Then deep in shadow, Azul saw the lazy, restful form of a panther draped across the limb of a tree. The panther was asleep, breathing rhythmically. Azul thought she had never seen anything more beautiful. Patterned black spots that looked like paw prints spread across the cat's sleek, golden fur. Its long, tufted tail moved gently. Soft, relaxed paws hung from either side of the branch it napped upon, whiskers twitching in sleep, in dream. Azul wondered what panthers dreamt of. She wondered if the panther had ever seen the sky. She looked up and saw no evidence of the sky through the thick foliage above her, but she felt that it must be there. she would have to fly higher. Up, up, up she went. The trees here in the canopy of the rainforest were crowded together and formed a ceiling of green. Azul rested on the petal of a deep red bromeliad. She was so tired. Her wings felt very heavy. As evening faded into night, it was becoming more difficult to see. Azul used her long antenna to smell the fresh, wet air around her. A shape shifted in the branch of the tree beside her, and Azul saw a pair of squirrel monkeys. The mama monkey looked so soft. She was covered from head to toe with brown and gray fur, but her face was a beautiful mask of soft white fuzz. She had funny black fur on top of her head, like a cap. In the light of day, she moved continuously, swinging through treetops in search of delicious nuts and fruit. But as she napped, her long, limber arms relaxed lightly around the trunk of the tree. Her tail was longer still and wrapped easily and securely through the branches. She was dozing. Azul could see the monkey's eyelids growing heavy. She seemed to be smiling, and Azul could see why. Clinging to her back, deep in slumber, was her tiny baby. Azul thought she had never seen a creature more sweet, more relaxed, more comfortable. The tiny monkey felt protected and warm and safe, snuggled in for the night. Its small chest moved up and down, breathing quietly. Watching the baby sleep, Azul found herself growing more and more tired. She wondered, had Mama Monkey and her baby ever seen the sky? Azul guessed they had. She had seen other squirrel monkeys swinging through trees with strong, rubbery arms, and they often disappeared high up above the canopy. That was where this place called the sky was, and Azul had to see it. As she flew higher, Azul admired the mosses all around her. How they reminded her of her previous caterpillar form. She thought about what her life on the ground had been like. There, she had happily munched away on delicate leaves and crept along in her fuzzy little body. Her caterpillar skin had been reddish-brown in color, with lovely, diamond-shaped patches of green, as bright as mango peel. She had spent her entire caterpillar life in just one small area. She had grown chubby and full, and then she had built herself a small, perfect bed to sleep in, called a chrysalis. The chrysalis felt like a warm, wonderful sleeping bag that fit around her just so. It was so cozy inside that Azul had slept for 14 days. And every one of those days, she dreamed the same dream. In it, she was visiting the mysterious world above the treetops. The sky. The rainforest had taken on a different feel now that darkness was falling. The noisy, calling birds of daytime were fast asleep in perfect nests, and magnificent nighttime owls moved soundlessly through the air. Azul loved to watch them fly. Their strong, quiet wings carried them so easily. She knew they must be familiar with the curious world above the canopy. If only she could hop on the back of an owl and sail easily up to the sky. But she would have to make it on her own. Once again, she perched on the edge of a leaf and leapt. Azul's wings drooped with exhaustion as she continued to flap upwards. A large patch of soft brown moss caught her attention, and she steered towards it. What a perfect place to rest, Azul thought. She alighted delicately on its surface, tapping it curiously with her tiny feet. It was spongy, soft and warm, unlike anything Azul had ever felt. Just then, the moss shifted slowly beneath her, easing along the tree branch where it hung. She looked down and saw a large pair of lazy brown eyes, set in a round, doughy face covered in fine hair. Smiling to herself, Azul realized that the patch of moss she had landed on was no plant at all. It was a sleepy sloth. Azul had landed right on its nose. Hanging upside down from long claws on each of its front feet, it reminded Azul of the 14 days she herself had slept hanging upside down in her cozy chrysalis. The sloth blinked up at her, unbothered, then closed its eyes again in sleep. Azul's eyes closed too, just for a moment. She yawned. Her whole body felt heavy with sleep. She tapped her foot against the sloth's squishy nose one more time, then flapped up and away into the dark air. By now, Azul was high up in the forest. The trees she flew between were over 150 feet tall. Azul knew they had been growing for hundreds of years. The canopy of the trees was like an enormous umbrella, keeping the air below warm and humid. Fruits and nuts grew all around. Nocturnal bats swept soundlessly through the air, drinking sweet nectar and pollinating fruit trees. Brightly colored parrots snuggled into peaceful nests, their noisy daytime chatter quieted in sleep. The rainforest had stilled by the time Azul reached the treetops. Night-scented orchids and moonflowers filled the air with sweet, heady smells. Azul could see hints of silver-tinged leaves above her, and her sleepy spirits soared. She had nearly reached the sky. As Azul left the deep darkness of the canopy behind, a soft glow began to outline the leaves and branches above her. Azul's heart skipped in anticipation. For the first time in her life, she felt a strong breeze as she struggled to flap her exhausted wings. She nearly bumped into a sleepless bee as she surfaced above the forest landscape and into the emergent layer. And just like that, she had made it. Up here, 200 feet above the forest floor, Azul coasted to a landing atop the sticky leaf of a kapok tree. She gazed around at a new world. The dense foliage of the forest was far below her now. Above the tops of the trees, the world opened up like a delightful parachute. The wind carried the scent of far-off rain, but the air around her was clear. For the first time in her life, the little butterfly looked up to see the sky. Thousands of brilliant white stars twinkled. In every direction she looked, they danced and glistened. It looked as if someone had poked tiny holes into the deep blackness of the sky to reveal perfect, shining lights underneath. A soft smear of white stars trailed from one horizon to the other. Azul knew this was called the Milky Way. Filmy clouds appeared feather-soft, and all around her was a deep and mysterious silence. Azul felt that she might be the only creature awake in this wondrous place. But as she looked about, a bit of disappointment filled her sweet butterfly heart. Where was the shining orb of light she had been promised? Had she made this long and difficult journey only to reveal that it was just a myth? Her blue wings shone in the dark like bright stars, winking in and out of view with each slow flap as she rested on the leaf. She felt sad. And then, just as the tiniest teardrops were about to fall from her sleepy eyes, a tremendous wind blew across the top of the rainforest. The clouds shifted in the sky, and a golden light flooded the landscape. It lit the dark green leaves of the Brazil nut trees and bathed the flowering canopy surface with a dreamy glow. Azul looked up to see the full, brilliant moon. The clouds had slipped away to reveal its perfect sphere. Azul thought the moon must be like a mother to all of the stars, warming them with her golden glow. The moon was more beautiful to her than the lilies floating on the water's surface, the panther with its patterned fur, the kaleidoscope of colorful forest flowers, even more beautiful than her own exquisite wings. She had worked so hard to get here, and she had made her wish come true. The sky was real, And it was, indeed, a magical place. Azul had never been so happy or so tired. The leaf upon which she rested was secure and protected from the wind. The nighttime air was cool and comfortable. Far off in the distance, Azul heard the gentle humming of rainforest insects singing sweet lullabies to the sleeping world. Now she could rest. Before slipping beneath the leaf where she would spend a long night fast asleep, Azul saw one last astonishing sight. A long streak of light illuminated the sky as a meteor crossed the horizon. It was a shooting star, the first she'd ever seen. What would she wish for now that she had made her greatest dream come true? What would you wish for if you saw a shooting star? So inside her sweet, lovely mind, Azul made a secret, special butterfly wish before falling fast asleep to dream secret, special butterfly dreams.